right, welcome everybody. We are about to stream the OCS top 8 game between Paul Myers and Eric Hunter, P. Myers and Otoy, I guess. How do you pronounce that?
A toy, a toy. That's what I say.
Otoy. I know it has
You should know.
something.
You're his teammate.
I, I, I don't actually call him that, believe it or not. Um, so I'm Joel Olsen, Rebel Spy, here with Drew, Coffee Pass, and they are going to be doing back-to-back games, I believe, after game one. Drew's going to tap out, and Dan will be joining me, but we're going to have, hopefully, a good series here.
Yeah. So before they get the table up, which is up, they already got it up. So I was going to ask for your predictions, but we'll see. We see Paul Myers is playing Watto, and Eric is playing the Galaxy Mini Legend. So Paul's starting Michubu Na, so you can pull Watto, Quit Drive Yards to pull systems, and Nagak War Beast as protection against, sorry about the mess combo. And Eric has the fairly standard legend start of Strike Planning, Walkling, and a Bravery Systems. So Joe, what do you think about this matchup? Who do you think is got an edge here?
I'm trying to get our little webcam thing going. All right, there. That's interesting. I haven't played. I know Watto got really popular. Well, not really popular, but somewhat popular in the second half. The last few months of the OCS, Bastion was playing it a lot. I think Tom. No, I don't know. There was a few players playing it.
I think Desai and Baroni were both playing it.
Okay, yeah, and those are all top players, so it's obviously a good deck. But I wasn't too active in the last few months, and so I don't know that I've seen this matchup.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot either, honestly. So we see Paul obviously pulling a grabber to start with, Imperial commanding for Ozzel. What do you think?
We got Dan and Justin Desai in the chat here, so and Justin offers some good insight when he's watching and can chime in. So hopefully he'll give us some thoughts here. I think just based on my gut feel of the two decks and what I know about each of them individually, I would favor Watto here. Okay. I think it's going to get a lot more damage through. I don't know that Legend. I mean, obviously, if it takes the junkyard, it wins, but I don't know that it can do that. With Nagak Warbeast stopping any sorry combos, stopping Leia's gun, anything like that to kill the Watto, your Destiny adders aren't good. You might have like a solo to draw if unable to otherwise, but it might be hard to take that junkyard. And then at some point, Light's going to have taken so much damage, they got to start paying 2 for Watto, and that's when the Executor and all these big blue ships start coming out, and Legend, I think, will have the early space advantage, but later on, I think Dark can really pile strong in space.
Yep, the Executor obviously does have the downside of not being fully immune or only immune to less than 5 versus Legend, and obviously Watto doesn't have Imperial Arrest Order, so its Ozzel isn't covering very much in space. So we do see Paul set up with Watto, obviously to the junkyard. Both players pulling a couple shields here. Eric pulls obviously Goldenrod. He won't need it turn 1, but you'll need it eventually.
Why is my
Paul pulls Blockade Flagship Site. Sorry, go ahead.
Keep going. My window's being weird.
Oh, Paul plays Bespin from hand, which is interesting. Normally you don't see Bespin unless you're also going to be playing They Must Never Again Leave This City, which would obviously be a free Executor. Though Watto isn't really a deck that needs to do the free Executor effects, because often it can just get a free Executor off of its objective. So this is not a list of Watto that I think I've seen before.
Yeah, and Justin said he thinks it's a pretty good matchup for Legend, but Paul Myers' list is a bit different. I actually did play against a Watto the other day. I think I was playing a Watch Your Step deck, and it had Bespin, and it did have the free Executor effect. So
yeah, it feels like, to me, counterintuitive to what you want Watto to be doing. Real quick, so we see Eric loses Jakku and Perimeter Scan from his hand to satisfy the Watto force loss. Jakku, not really necessary. He's getting tons of icons, and there's going to be so many systems in play that a fourth one now won't matter. And the perimeter scan, obviously, that's why he played it on turn 1 to pull a shield, because he intended to lose it to use for his use pile. And so we see 16 force turn 1 for Paul Myers here, hitting the bestman from hand. Quote Drive Yards pulling Mustafar pulling the castle. I would imagine this would be just about everything in his deck. Oh, and obviously he had the blockade flagship site, which again makes this probably a non-standard Watto list, like we were saying, which is he's not playing Tatooine, and he's not doing Tatooine
occupation ping, which could be big for Legend.
Yeah.
Because that ping can really add up too. Paul Myers hitting 16 activation by the end of his first turn without anything Eric might give him. That's obviously huge.
It's a lot of force, yeah.
Hey, Stubbly, Joker King, and Cal. So, and the other thing about this matchup that can be, I think, difficult for light side is Watto is so fast, and it does fast damage, and Legend almost starts a half a turn behind, because usually their typical first turn is like pull the 2-0 site, pull loot, and maybe draw a couple or save a couple. But then Dark gets a whole nother turn where they're not. So Dark really gets a jump against Legend, and especially so with an already fast deck.
Yeah, and actually it might be, again, this is a non-standard list. I'm not sure what to expect here, not having played Paul's list here. But, often I think Legend, one thing it does do well against Watto is it beats down that Tatooine system and cancels occupation really easily.
Right.
Legend can really take a system, especially without the immunity from the Executor, with Poe adding a Destiny. I mean, obviously they got command, but you grab command, you can work through that system and cancel occupation.
And like you said,
but if Paul isn't reliant on occupation, sorry, go ahead.
That capping immunity is big, like you said.
Yeah. Joe. Justin asked you, do you know if this is a standard deck for?
I believe it's a fairly standard Legend, not some weird Eric.
Well, Eric unfortunately made a what appears to be a mistake on turn 1. He used strike planning to search for Leia and did not find her after he activated, so he forgot to do his strike planning pull before activation. So that's tough.
He did do one. He did already do one this game, so maybe he forgot, or maybe he had a second general he could pull and activated it. He did. I thought he did a pull turn 1. Yeah, he did already pull a Leia.
Yeah, I don't know. He said whoops. Now, it's possible that he meant whoops, like he meant to click the objective and not strike planning.
Probably. Because obviously you want to Brave Resistance her turn 1 and then just pull her again.
Yeah.
He wasted that pull.
So, the mistake is probably accidentally clicked the wrong thing.
And then gives up a Verify as well.
Yeah, it's tough. As a friendly suggestion for anyone when you're setting up your GIMP games, something I didn't know until recently, actually, you can shuffle the cards around. So I actually like to shuffle my strike planning away from both my Brave Resistance and my objective. Like, as soon as I pull a shield, I'll pull it to the other side, so I don't accidentally click it like that.
That's clever. Yeah, Justin thinks he meant to click on Brave Resistance to send her down to look at what's in there and see if his sights and everything are in there, and he just clicks strike planning, not thinking about it.
That's tough.
I mean, Eric's this game is scheduled so late because Eric could not play on weekdays, and Paul was having trouble scheduling weekend times.
Yeah, no, talking to Eric, I guess better than I do. I guess an attorney.
He's a lawyer, and he's working he's up working every day until at least midnight or 1 or 2 some of the nights. Like he's like, it's 2 a.m. I'm going to bed. I'm stopping work now, and it's just crazy. And so earlier today in our team chat, we were like, I think CryptoFist asked him a question or something, and he's like, I can't chat now. I'm working. And so,
real quick,
that sort of strike planning thing, I think, just shows he's not. Yeah, his head isn't in the game.
Yeah, I know that feeling when I honestly when I lost to Stubbly. Stubbly played a great match. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but I was dog tired, and it makes you tilt. To be honest, I generally think I'm pretty more in control when I'm playing, but especially when I'm playing online and I'm really tired and I had other things going on in life, and I tilted. And just to Stubbly's credit, he was like, hey, we don't have to play right now. I was like, no, let's just play. I just want to be done with it. And that was a bad attitude. But all the props to Stubbly for that, for a really great match.
So he used Brave Resistance.
So Brave Resistance, Rose, picked up Chewie. Always great when your Destiny 5 Rose can be tossed back to get either Chewie or Poe. Eric plays Rescue in the Clouds. Obviously, pulls Force Protection. So, you know, he's setting up with all the pieces here.
Yeah, I think Eric will probably just draw a couple, save a couple. Paul will come down with the guy, flip, do 2 more damage, maybe play an extra guy to Junkyard, and then consolidate again. So he ends the turn with 4 guys at the Junkyard.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely, and this is exactly what we're talking about, which is that Legend takes, turn and a half at most before it gets going. And obviously, its first turn is always going to be a setup turn, basically. And so it does get Watto a lot of opportunity to get damage in.
Justin says, question to start thinking about: when is he using Eric? When is he going to use force for the Watto objective? And when is he going to lose force? And your ideal is always to have at least a few saved that you can threaten to pay to make him actually put down a good card and not just like Watto's Chance Cube or whatever. And then still sometimes choose to lose because you don't necessarily want to give them that free card. But it adds up. And so at some point he will have to either choose randomly or at select times where a particular character wouldn't hurt him. But I wouldn't be surprised to see stuff like Executor out and something like a Thrawn bluffed down. And
a lot of it really comes down to also how his board position set up. I mean, honestly, he's probably not going to pay here because he's probably needing to save force to establish what he wants to do next turn. But like, Paul's got 16 force and 8 cards in hand. I mean, whatever he's quote unquote bluffing, he might just be able to pay for anyways. So, I mean, it's tough. It's always tough, and that's why Watto's a really good deck. I certainly wouldn't pay early on in general. The force is just way too valuable early on. I think once you establish a fairly decent ground presence, I feel generally more comfortable. The individual character threats out of Watto don't worry me too much as Legend, especially if I've got my bunkered up site with, Rey and Chewie and Rose or something. So once I have that going, I'll generally feel more comfortable paying. The question is, I'm really curious to see what we're going to see in space from Paul, though. Not necessarily the characters or the, I'm sure it's going to be Star Destroyers in large, but, I assume there's a Shiranu. If you got all these systems, you might have lateral damage. So
maybe. I bet there's a large amount of characters and ships in the deck and less trick cards like that, just because it's good to always have more guys to go down with to flip to bluff.
Yep. So we see Ozzel. Curious to see if he's gonna pay here.
I could see this being like a Star Destroyer, like Stalker, or if he's got So Eric chooses to go ahead and lose 2.
Yep. So we see an all wings from reserve deck, and we see Hujix get lost from reserve deck. Always kind of dangerous to lose your Hujix. Obviously, Legend does have solo to replay it, and also Watto probably is lower on the spectrum of a big beatdown sort of deck, but still never good to signal to your opponent that your Hujix has been lost.
Yeah, because then they can go for it. Because you're not running 2.
No one's running 2. Well, unless it's combo or get combo. People run 2 get combos all the time. But.
So Justin makes a good point. Paul Meyer's normal dark side deck is entanglements, and if Eric was anticipating that, he probably has free ride combo. So cutting the occupation in this Watto deck makes that.
That's a good point. And Paul's a smart player with this. Paul, I think literally for 84 games, 7 months of OCS, played the exact same 2 decks, Hitco and Entanglements. But he is a better player than that. He definitely knows how to play other decks besides those 2 decks.
I'm curious what he'll have for light side. If he's going to do...
Yeah, I think last round he kind of cakewalked, right? Didn't he he blew out someone by like a ton with Hitco in game 1 and even play game 2.
Yeah, I think it was Nick Reich, right? Aeneas?
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so we see Gramoff Tarkin get added to the junkyard. So a pretty clear signal that he's intent on bunkering up there.
Yeah.
And once
Also
Oslo moves over, he'll get 2 destinies. He gets +1 to attrition with Sebulba. Obviously, Watto stopping him from drawing a destiny. Stopping his opponent from drawing or have destinies reset to 0. Yeah, Justin also brings a good point about how maybe Eric should have considered saving Rescue in the Clouds for Darkseid's turn so that he could lose it from used, like he did with Perimeter Scan on turn 1.
Yeah, this is one of those games where if Light can take this site, they can win. But
Yep.
I think it's a lot harder than the Audience Chamber to take, because Dark in this is not limited to just aliens, so they can just have all the good characters, and they can have
Yep.
Blizzard Walkers and General Veers, and then Watto stopping all destinies.
I mean, Audience Chamber is obviously kind of go down a rabbit hole. It was tough to take too, and I feel like actually, when I started struggling more with Court versus Legend, is when players realized that attacking the Audience Chamber wasn't the right play, so that people would bunker up at the pit and not have to lose Court damage and get their Rose and BB-8 there, and basically now we were even on damage race. And it was actually, once people stopped attacking, it was much tougher for Court. But with Watto, you have to attack them where you're taking the damage, right? And that's what makes it really tricky compared to Court.
All right. Well, Eric's got 16 force.
16 force. Yeah, he saved those 3 force from last turn. He didn't use it to pay for Watto, so obviously he's kind of crafting a plan in his head. So Paul does have 15 cards in hand. So obviously it seems like he was probably digging for something. I don't know in particular. Obviously Barrier is really good.
Yeah, free executor effect.
Well, yeah, if he's playing Bespin.
There's no other reason you'd have Kashyyyk if you didn't have the free executor effect. So Desai thinks Eric should stack most Espa.
That's my inclination if I was playing against. My inclination as Legend is always to stack, especially sites, basically. I always just want to attack the system and get Rose, BB-8, and,
if you can get that out, if you're draining for 2, 3 once you flip, but who knows when their first battle will be if they're both stacked at opposite sites. Dark's coming down, doing 2 damage and moving away, or you could pay 2. And Light is doing 2 damage by paying to drain, so they're pretty even. If you can get Rose and BB-8, you'd likely need a second battleground for Coward too, but...
Right. But with, 2 systems out, like Legend can get bunkered up at one site, and then it can, either attack where Darkseid is in space, or just go to the other system. And then at that point, Legend can pull ahead in the damage race. It's going to get a drain for 2 at a site, maybe drain for 2 at one of the systems, Rose going... Like, there's a path for Legend to pull ahead here.
Mm-hmm. Right, Watto does a lot of its damage early.
Which is,
It can peter out. I think a lot of the more recent builds with Occupation don't necessarily. They keep putting on that damage, but here, without that, it might be more limited. Paul pulling There is no Tri-Shield indicates he probably doesn't have sense in there, and he's worried about... I'm guessing probably Barrier.
Barrier. And Barrier standard, projected telepathy, I think you see at a decent amount of Watto builds too. All your standard defensive interrupts. No stunning leader, because obviously you're at an exterior site. But...
Yeah, which version of Mara is this Watto running? Is it EPP? Is it Erica V to retrieve? Is it Erica, probably not non-V to block a drain, that'd be weird. But
probably not Mara and shit, because obviously he's going to go big blue.
I'm guessing probably EPP, but Erica V would be really huge here if she can just sit there ping retrieving.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Do you think the Legend Errata changes much about the deck?
I think there's probably typically, on average, what, 4 battles a game or something. Especially in stack decks, it might even be less than that. So, and
Sorry, real quick. Okay.
I feel like they're probably going to have 2 resistance characters in most of those. So probably there's 1 battle a game where it's like a lone Obi comes down, or maybe 2 battles. And it could be at a crucial moment for sure that, you've got a Destiny 6 track to shoot Obi with P59 and then they can't redraw it or whatever. But I don't think it's a huge impact, especially compared to, when you look at the no idea nerfs, when you look at the ISB change was pretty big.
Yeah.
So it was. I think it will make a small impact, but fairly minor.
There's a couple comments on a couple quick things that happened that are really interesting. First of all, we see that Unita picks up Hujix, so Eric obviously wants to get his Hujix back. Now we see Ray going to Mos Espa, so he is setting up at the other site to try to start getting his damage along with Leia. And I think it's really interesting also that he played the Cliffs. So I think it's a little non-standard. Normally, I think most Legend lists just has the saddle plus the 1-0 site. But when I played against Stubley, he had, a lot of the Legend. I think he's in the chat. He can remind us, but I think he had all 4 sites. And honestly, it's the first time I've seen that, and I thought it was a pretty interesting idea. I mean, games go long, right? They go long against ISB, they go long against Court. This Watto game's going to go long, and sometimes giving up all those icons and getting a bunch of icons yourself isn't bad at all. I mean, I definitely felt disadvantaged when I was seeing those sites come out. And I think depending on how Legend changes and evolves with the meta, like if it's less like attacking, a system like Tatooine or Coruscant, I actually think playing all those sites is really interesting.
It's a 2-1 that's not a liability at all. You can go wide to it, that sort of stuff. Justin says there's 5 Octo sites. I believe him. I couldn't.
5.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're no liability, but they are card slots, right? I mean, especially something like Legend that sees so many cards with Rescue and the Force Pile Pull. And
so Rescue gets grabbed, and I think Eric is fine with that. I think he was kind of baiting it because he'll want to use leaderships, and Paul might have another grabber.
Biggest mistake I made in my game that I lost was not grabbing leadership. It just completely owned me the rest of the game. I grabbed Old Wings because I thought we'd be fighting in space, and I just did not see all those general battles coming. And not grabbing leadership is often wrong. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. One interesting thing I noticed on that turn, a subtle thing, but Luke, after he activated, Luke searched for force projection, didn't find it, gave up a verify, and then Eric took his whole turn. And if you notice, there's one particular thing missing from that, and that is the force pile pull. Eric knew everything in his force pile. He checked with Luke. He got to see his whole reserve, and he didn't opt for the force pile pull right there, which means he either something that he wants was still in the reserve,
right,
or he just doesn't quite know what he wants yet with the direction this game is going to go, and so he doesn't know if he's going to need a ship. He doesn't know so he's waiting to use the pull. But he basically had half his deck right there to choose from and did not use the pull.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, obviously a lot of it probably has to do with what you're pointing out here, which is we don't know really what Paul is up to yet. And so he probably really wants to see what happens in space first before he commits to what he gets from the pull.
And with 20 force, Paul really can just bluff something fairly mediocre, and that he's fine with paying 2 force for, but he's got 15 cards. He's got plenty of stuff that, if he's got multiple Star Destroyers in hand. Obviously, he was playing Death Squadron assignments to pull Ozzel. That also pulls Executor. It also pulls Stalker. It also pulls Vengeance.
Tyrant.
Yeah, Tyrant.
No, not Tyrant.
Not Vengeance. Tyrant and...
It does pull Tyrant, too, but that's the worst of those 3 ships. So you probably wouldn't play
God,
Stalker. Stalker's so good.
It feels like, with how good it is, the virtual Grand Admiral Thrawn follow should be really good too, but...
because the virtual Grand Admiral Thrawn requires you to pay 1 for each individual character, or the Stalker is a loaded up Star Destroyer that you pay 1 with normally all your ISB guys following it around.
Fair. So, Blizzard 4 comes down, and we already saw Perimeter Scan lost.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't know.
Hmm. Taco Bill says Grand Admiral Thrawn V with the Inquisitor follow should be interesting. That's once Inquisitors come out and
Don't they
um
both just follow?
yeah. What we got a week from tomorrow, the set is supposed to drop on the 9th.
That'll
So
be
that
fun. Everyone listening to the stream, I want to hype up that probably either that weekend, or the weekend after, we'll do a 1 day. I'll run a 1 day tournament on GIMP for
oh cool.
$10 entry fee and a chance to win a foil AI rock. Okay, so we see Eric again losing two forces to Watto with Jedi 11 Blue 11. We see Blizzard 4 come down, but there wasn't a poll on Blizzard 4. Presumably there just were no more admirals, but this is the thing with ability that Paul wanted to use.
Yeah, that's. I mean, and Paul verified his deck with
Yeah,
Watto looking for the chance cube, so he knew there was no Imperials. But he just wanted the beef power and
yeah, I'm guessing everything left in his hand, he probably figures he doesn't need to keep committing to that site anymore than necessary, right?
mm-hmm.
Because, pretty clear signal, I think, from Eric that he's not going to attack the junkyard. So if the other things with ability in his hand are stuff like Grand Admiral Thrawn that he doesn't want to commit to the ground, then
right. He has no way to shuttle up to the Tatooine system. So
right,
yeah,
which is another kind of tough
if
thing here.
if Chiranu or Thrawn were in the deck, normally you would pull them and just shuttle them up later.
Yeah, that is actually a tough spot that he kind of puts himself in with that, because the shuttling between the site and the system is a real strength for Watto. Once they basically stop ignoring, or once they make it clear they're never going to attack the junkyard, having your guys as forfeit fodder. Blue 11, by the way, very unexpected card from Legend.
Yeah, what is that going to pull in this deck? A non-pilot rebel
Non-pilot rebel.
of ability less than 5.
Uh,
I mean, I remember the list at Blue 11. I don't remember the list, but I remember the list only having a couple of useful characters. I'm not even sure it has anyone to pull in this deck. It's just a
a
vehicle
vehicle,
that's enclosed that you can throw Poe on that, isn't that expensive. It's
I
got good
guess.
stats basically. I don't know that it pulls anybody at all.
Yeah, it doesn't pull, but I mean,
No, no,
obviously your
no.
whole deck pull pose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Pull,
Brave Resistance gets.
pull, Poe. Yes, finding Poe is not a problem. Okay, interesting. Blizzard Scout 1 coming down there. So actually, Paul is threatening to come back and
I'm not sold on
battle
this.
here.
I mean, so if Paul has trample, he's feeling pretty happy with that perimeter scan dead, because if Chewie comes down, he can just
Right.
trample it, um, assuming he draws greater than 2. But otherwise, I'm not loving this play from Paul because I think you could take a turn of drains and then I guess Eric would stack it more. It's hard to say when do you oppose that, but right now, I mean, he has 12 force. He's going to need to come down with more because otherwise, Chewie's coming down. He's battling, flipping, retrieving with Leia, getting the redraw going. Like,
I mean, you can move over Thrawn and Ozzel and
mm-hmm.
get a couple destinies there. I would think what he really wants to find is a general so he can command and so he can stop
you
Finn
you you
Destiny
can't
adding.
move over Thrawn and Ozzel. I guess if you have barrier and stuff, but if you move over Thrawn and Ozzel, then down comes Chewie and a bunch of stuff to the junkyard, and
Right.
an 8 force to put Watto use, and Sebulba gets beat up. Because he'll have 18 using
Yeah.
8 to put him use leaves you 10. That's Chewie and somebody else.
Vader. I don't know what Vader's doing here. I mean, I know what he's doing here.
He's gonna stack the side. I think he's gonna move over Tarkin as well.
Yeah, and now he
Maybe
can cancel Chewie.
maybe make a Tarkin pilot Blizzard Scout 1 so that it's like you either swing it Scout 1 or and that keeps Blizzard 4 there. Or maybe just leave him
Well,
out. But
if Chewie comes down to that site, then he just gets canceled by Vader.
well, not if Light initiates. Oh, by Vader. Yeah, I thought you were saying by
By Vader.
Blizzard Scout 1. Yeah, Vader cancels that. Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, that's a decent stack. That's the Vader
Especially with
stopping
Thrawn
Chewie
and
is
Scott
pretty
being able
big.
to react. Yeah, I agree.
Doubly says if I'm Paul, I'm battling for sure. So if you battle, you cancel Ray's tech, so she can't swing at Vader,
Yep,
and you
yep.
trade Blizzard's got
Hopefully you
one.
trade one of the vehicles
Yeah, Blizzard's got one for both of
for
them.
Leia.
Well, you're gonna outpower him significantly. I mean, he's up
I
by 8
mean,
power right now.
I just hope you have the react cancel in hand
Right,
because
because Finn or barrier, but
Finn,
then you've used
yeah,
your barrier.
yeah.
Um, this is funny. Stubbly in chat says, if I'm Paul, I'm battling for sure. And Desai says, no way am I battling. Stubbly says, I'm so happy if I'm Eric and he doesn't battle. So there's some conflicting opinions here.
Finn comes out, you barrier Finn. I mean,
if you don't have
even
barrier,
if
it's super risky because Finn and Adder could just clear a bunch of stuff.
Kylo,
Okay.
now we're just going wild here.
Vader lets him battle free, so he could still save a force for upkeep.
This is true. This is true.
You definitely battle now because you battle cancel raise
you
text.
barrier Finn. You can always just lose the Blizzard for the.
Yeah,
Destiny.
this is looking like a blowout battle even.
He does have the Hujix in hand.
Sure, but he'd have no board presence and.
And if you have the Finn or the Destiny adding for Finn,
no Finn coming down.
No reacts. He's down by 14.
Paul right now has 1 force, which he can use for upkeep. Eric has 3 saved.
Yeah, but now he's got leadership, and Legend Draw is better than Watto. If he only ends up losing Leia from this battle in a couple of force, then I don't know.
So he did flip, which stopped Kylo's swing. That's nice.
And, I don't know. If we see 2 5s from Legend and then a 2 from a 1. Yeah, so.
All right, so 24.
Yeah,
so he's at like 15 right now.
No overflow.
It's paused, waiting if Eric wants to redraw that. Yeah, this is a good third turn for Paul.
Eric. What is it? You think this is good for Paul?
This turn, yeah, getting all that out. I think the Destiny could have gone better there, but
I mean, yeah, we're just going to see some high Destiny from Legend.
If we see double 5s, that did not go well.
Yeah, and remember, he hasn't used his force power play yet, so now he's got 17 force.
Oh, he smoke screens the second one. He didn't want to risk drawing a second 5, so he just did 5/5.
He plays smoke screen in his Legend deck.
He apparently plays smoke screen in Legend. Probably he was anticipating entanglements and wanted to get around battle deployment / justice so that he could be getting multiple destinies.
I think this is really bad for Paul. He's got to drop 2 things here, and he's only got the 1 force, and
he can't move away. Right? Well, yeah, right. He can't Blizzard 4 move people away because then he can't pay upkeep. So you lose what? Kylo and Blizzard 4. Put Vader in the scout and move it over, and just give up that site for the moment.
And that's not what he's doing.
No, I think he's losing the 2 vehicles.
I like that. Ooh, this could be it. Yeah. And Eric lost Ray, probably means a second Ray, if I had to guess.
Yeah, since there was no resilience there.
Yeah. I don't know. That's that Vader and Kylo are just.
We don't see Coward out, which I think is kind of a mistake. He might pull it before Leia gets a chance to battle, but
pull it before Leia battles.
You've got Walkling, and if I guess there's nobody that really can brave resistance for Rey besides Leia, and it's unlikely there's 2. So. Kylo's Saber is going to be big in this upcoming battle, though, if he can hit something.
I guess. I don't know. I think we're going to see, unless he's got a Gick in hand, I think we're going to see maybe quick into the game.
Stubbly earlier said, if I'm Paul, I'm battling for sure. If I'm so happy if I'm Eric and he doesn't battle. And then right here, Stubbly says, definitely would not have battled.
I mean, 17 force, 10 cards in hand, and Legend hasn't used its force pile pull yet. I mean, he's coming down hard here. Now, obviously, there could just be a Gick, in which case we're fine. But
I don't know that he'll need a Gick that he'll... Because remember, Vader can blank Chewie. He's not going to lose the forfeit on both of those, even if an EPP Ray hits one of them. I don't see him getting outpowered by, 10 or 15. Or plus the forfeit.
Sure. I'm just thinking Ray plus Finn plus Destiny Adder, which we know he's now playing.
Do you think he would
Rebel
have?
leadership to take an Admiral General into hand.
Oh, rather than saving that for the battle, maybe he's grabbing Obi here. He has a Qui-Gon saber in hand or something. General Kenobi.
I don't know how useful General Kenobi is here.
If he has a lightsaber in his hand,
Yeah,
useful.
True. General Kenobi is another card that's obviously always in Legend List in general.
So
But
Paul
also
saved the
that-
Force, which
Yep.
does indicate that barrier. I
Yep.
don't know why you wouldn't have reacted the Finn if you had it, and then and let it get barriered. So it's here. Maybe you're anticipating both them getting cleared and then him getting stuck in. But I'm thinking a Finn Ray Adder is
Maybe
unlikely.
he just didn't have his Finn, but I don't know. I know it telegraphs it, but at this point, telegraphing it doesn't matter because everyone knows there's Finn everywhere in Legend. I often grab Finn like immediately with Leia, with my my pull, right? For instance, I mean, obviously it's totally contextual, depending on my hands or whatever, but Finn is so important.
So if he remembers that Force pile pull, he's probably counting up how much force he wants to use. A lot of times that one force you take out of your force pile with something like that or tunnel vision or whatever,
It's huge.
it ends up leaving you one force short or whatever. It's so frustrating.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially when you're looking at the big beatdown turn or whatever, you know. But we do see him using the force pile pull here.
Stubley said he was only a fan of the battle if he has enough to either retreat or reinforce. It did sort of leave Paul in an awkward position.
The problem with that battle was Kylo. I mean, 5 force for that Kylo when Legend's going to flip against you.
Right.
But, no, I mean,
now
people forget Legend flips. I mean, it just happens.
But also it's at some point it's going to flip. It stops the swing for one battle. Now you've got the swing going. But like I said, once the battle happened the way it did, I would have lost Blizzard 4 and Kylo and moved over the Walker and Vader and disembarked Vader. You don't need to save the Force for barrier then, because there's no way he's attacking that junkyard. And then you can regroup and move over a big stack when you want to. But even against just the Leia right there, I probably would have just abandoned the site.
For sure.
But yeah, he opted to lose those vehicles.
Well, you want to abandon the site because it's just a more difficult. Like your junkyard is just a far more difficult spot for him to attack. Right. So even if you lost like both Leia and Rey, you'd still probably want to. Not that could have happened with Destiny's, but like you want to retreat to that junkyard. I think. Mm-hmm. Unless maybe he's like really short on guys in hand and like can't satisfy Watto next turn.
Hey, he's still got a lot of cards in hand. He's still at 11 because Sebulba's been giving him ping draws.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting to see what, if any, tricks Paul could have here besides barrier. Obviously, a force field would be really powerful. I don't think Watto would be playing force field, but
it could have a virtual force field because you can use the lost part to protect, like Watto. Well, or even the non-V one can do that as well, but yeah, it's probably unlikely. Yeah, it's hard to know. You don't know what's in their hands. So Justin's kind of speculating maybe he should have played the ATST to Watto's site and not played Kylo, and then he's like, maybe, I don't know. Actually, it's really hard to say because we don't know what's in their hand. We don't know, and you don't know the outcome of different stuff. It's because obviously here retreating is pretty bad if down comes BB-8 Rose, another Rey, a Finn, and just stacks that site hard.
Yeah, I wonder. He drew to 15 cards, and he's got Bespin out, and he's obviously trying to go for this free executor stuff. But like, I'm surprised he didn't have tools to try to establish himself in space last turn.
It very well could have been he just saw those two fairly mediocre characters, had a barrier for the Finn, and is like, hey, if I can do Blizzard 4, Walker, Vader, Kylo battle and clear both them off and still have multiple guys left, I'm in a great board position state. If he could just massively outpower, and he just decided to go for that. rather
I
than
just realized that Eric hasn't even played Force Projection. I mean, obviously he hasn't played it yet. He just flipped, but like, God, Legend is so impossible to battle on the ground. Like he hasn't even played an attrition reducing interrupt yet, and like, yeah, he's just fix his destinies with the objective. It's just, I don't know. A deck like Watto, oof, barrier on Kenobi. Yeah.
okay.
A deck like Watto just doesn't have the tools to fight on the ground most of the time. I
Do
mean,
you grab barrier?
um, generally yes, I would grab barrier here.
I don't know
However,
what he's not gonna
I
have like
think
voyeur. I can't picture anything else to abuse. Command, um,
command, it'd be command in space probably.
yeah.
I guess it's
So
probably General
it
Veers and
depends if
Blizzard
you
2
think your
somewhere in
space
here.
is going to be the really important, or if you don't want your guys getting buried on the ground or in space. I mean, it's tough between those two. I'd
Yeah, the
probably
only other
grab here,
reason not to grab it,
and he
yeah,
did.
he is grabbing it. Yeah. The other tough part though is he's probably calculated out exactly what he wants to do this turn, and using the force here might leave him open to not being able to battle because of like projected telepathy or something, right?
Well,
So
or he might not have battled now with Kenobi, so now he does. He had the extra force to be able to do
true.
that. Or
That's true too. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes barrier is a very easy grab. So. Stubley is a man after my own heart, suggesting that he just play Ghana Gleamort, which is like my favorite card to play in court. I love Ghana Gleamort. So he DC the lightsaber here, which is probably, like you said, why he pulled Kenobi with leadership, because he probably drew.
so Stubley says, "Why bother playing the ATST if you're not going to battle and cancel raise text?" And the reason would be you still get a cancel even if you can't do it first. So if they come down with someone like Solo, in Ray swings, you cancel Solo and get rid of an extra destiny, anything like that. So having a cancel is still good.
There is Chewie.
Chewie Vader will blink him.
Vader will blink Chewie for sure.
So now there is multiple resistance characters. The redraw is
Yeah, but if there's a battle here, I mean, Kylo's gonna probably just
hit
beat the
Rose
crap out of
or hit
Rose.
Chewie. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I feel like Watto never wants to really be battling on the ground. That's one of the reasons I don't like Watto, is I just don't. Okay.
I would agree with you with the occupation build because you can just
Yeah.
put a guy down, ping with objective,
Right.
ping one
That's-
with occupation, drain one and two
Yep.
in space with Shiranu, that sort of stuff. But this
Yep.
build looks more aggressive.
Yeah. It's just the days of like hit and run EPP types are just, in my mind, not nearly as good as it used to be. I mean, things like Legend just owned that sort of deck, and no idea if it was still on. There's Coward. Okay, so he did know to pull Coward to stop the retrieval. I didn't know. I mean,
I just don't
it'd
think
be
you
an
can.
easy thing to overlook, as I've done many times myself.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think you can battle here with Obi.
Yeah.
Barriered and Chewie
Yep.
blanked.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely no battle.
He saves 2 force in case Greedo comes down.
Greedo would be good there.
Also, he's saving 2 to threaten the pay for Watto. But I think you're gonna have to
Where
peel 2 again here.
We see, I don't know how to say his Jawa name, but he was my friend, so we might see Eric White come down.
Ritik.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he got a tweak recently. Only works on Lightside's turn,
Yeah.
so he would not.
Might not be in
do
this build.
anything
I've
here.
seen some interesting builds that I know that Justin Muir showed, and some of his team were playing a little bit with a lot of like the Force denial elements in Watto with, Ritik, and I think they even had some Jawa, and then projective telepathy and Greedo, and using those as their ways to really protect the ground.
Put some choke on, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Watto definitely plays no escape. Joker King points out, so that would be useful here. I think we're gonna see Paul bluff a card and Eric lose too, because I don't think he can afford to just give a free strong card out right now. With the balance of them trying to fight over this site.
Yeah, Paul. It's interesting for a game that is still feels early. I mean, 29 force for Paul, 29 life force for Paul, 26 for Eric. It does feel like we're kind of at a very crucial moment here. where they're going to want to really establish what they want to do.
Yeah, Paul's gonna be up by 6 hand and lifers. So
yeah, I mean, obviously a little early to count, but it feels like we're further along than we are, but I think it's because a lot of kind of crucial stuff has been going on.
They're taking their time to think.
You sure are.
We're at Paul 28 minutes and Eric 32 and Darkseid's
Conversely, I've had a blast the last couple of days playing in these Blitz leagues. I love the 20, 30 minute time clocks.
Joker King with the prediction. No Escape comes out to grab Blizzard 4. What is that Blitz league? I saw it in the lobby.
One has a 30-minute timer for each player. The other one has a 20-minute timer.
Oh, the total clock for your total clock is 20 minutes.
Yep.
Each individual.
Yeah, that one's a little too much, but 30 minutes I think is a perfect amount. There's one that's called 40 minutes, but then it's actually only 30 minutes. So
JNap says Paul is playing fast tonight, and Justin says, yeah, he's blitzing. Apparently, Paul is not typically a fast player. So
I don't know Paul personally. I believe slow play in real life tournaments might be an association he has. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Eric top decked to Watto to not give him a free card.
The Poe, which is a big card to lose, obviously, and escape pod combo.
And escape pod doesn't matter.
Does not matter. He does have the Reject.
Correct. So, I imagine he'll. So he already checked his deck with Watto's Chance Cube before he bluffed, or before he played the No Escape. So he knows if there's an EPP Mara or something like that in there that the Blizzard 4 can pull.
And then he played the No Escape, so one presumes that he did this under the presumption there's something that he wants. But besides EPP Mara, I'm not sure what else he would want to grab.
I mean, there would, probably Thrawn and Sheer in the deck, but they don't help you much on the ground.
Right.
Yeah, you obviously can't pull Emperor with it.
Yeah, Justin's suggesting if you grab Mara and then move over Tarkin.
Yeah, Mara, Vader, Tarkin are the 3 main targets, and 2 of the 3 are out.
If he does get Mara, then he's got 2.
Your voice is cutting out on me.
Are we no longer streaming? It's just me?
Yeah,
Oh, your video's out. Okay.
Oh, Streamlabs does this every 45 minutes or something.
I don't know.
It decides to mess with the Discord. This happens.
I don't know if they can still hear us or not.
They can.
But,
they can. Or just video disappears.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. No one needs to see my ugly mug, anyways.
Oh, I can.
If Blizzard 4 pulled Mara and you had Mara, Tarkin, Vader, and a couple weapons, pretty good. Maul wouldn't be bad at all here. Okay, so we do see the Blizzard 4. Let's see. Taking a moment to determine who he wants to download, even though he already checked his deck. Grievous from hand. So he played Blizzard 4 and didn't download anyone, which obviously means he didn't have anyone.
He wanted the power.
Yeah, and the forfeit. And then Grievous
will be good here if he can clear that Kenobi.
Yeah, or obviously Command. No Destinies being added right now or yet. But the fact that he can grab Command. Interestingly, neither player has grab commands.
Right. He could grab, or he could add one of his own even.
Yep, you could have, though, always a dangerous game to add one of your own versus another player who has leadership. So.
Yep. Oh, and the side points out, if he did have that trample, getting the Blizzard 4 back is good. The only reason why I think that's less likely is that he did lose both vehicles, and I don't know why you would lose both vehicles if you have trample in hand. Other than you're anticipating, I guess, no escape. But Light might be battling. You might bury it.
Right. So Chewie's been blanked, so we know that it's only the Obi who fires here.
So Kylo will swing at Chewie.
Yeah. Maybe. I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Watto's Destiny is usually pretty meh, and you...
Yeah.
I mean, Chewie's...
Between Rose and Chewie. I mean, obviously, Chewie's right.
Chewie's not a big threat because Vader can just keep blanking him every turn. But
Right, but Vader could get hit by Obi, in which case you're
sure,
back to square one.
or Solo could come down and you may want to blank him or whatever. So
Yeah,
you take the free hit on Chewie now.
agreed. Agreed. Paul is swinging at Leia, so eat my hat.
Which is weird because Legend has the redraw.
Legend does have a redraw, which
so there's a 3. And a 3 is a hit.
So he's probably going to redraw that. I would assume he's going to redraw it. I'm surprised he finds Leia more threatening.
I think you probably redraw that because...
It's only...
Well, yeah, Obi's going to be immune. I think you redraw that because there's not a Battle Destiny really that's going to...
Yeah. Make a difference in... No,
make a big difference,
there is no redraw.
Yeah.
Right. Kylo killed his mom, just like the movies, kind of. Utani with blaster. Hey, there's a guy Blue 11 can pull.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh yeah, and Justin points out female too. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if Eric had had the female interrupt there.
Dangerous game to swing at Leia.
Yeah.
Take the Chewie hit when you can. But
swings at Vader because he wants that Chewie to become active next turn. Oh, that's rough. He needs a 5. And
no.
Oof. Misses. Draws exactly 6 on Vader's 6.
That's this is tough for Eric. So let's see what Destinies are going to be.
Command's going to add a Destiny.
That command to add. So let's see if we see the leadership.
I don't know that you can afford to lose Kenobi with Grievous out, which means Chewie's probably dying.
Yeah. And we don't even see a leadership here.
So there's a 2. Yeah.
I would maybe pull that Chirinu. I don't know. Get that forfeit out there.
Yeah, I think so on Blizzard 4. So that's okay. He's gonna force projection rather than do a redraw.
There's a Rose in the force.
I might have done a redraw, then the force projection on that 4, thinking that his average is lower than that.
He still can.
He didn't though, and now he has to lose someone if he redraws and he gets less than a 4. There's no difference between a 4 and a 5. Ouch, and a 1. So Eric's down by 9.
Yeah. So Leia.
If he redraws and Paul draws a 5, he either way he has to lose.
Yep.
Yeah, he should have redrawn and hoped to get 0 attrition. But now that there's 9 outpowered, it probably doesn't matter that there's that 1 attrition.
Tosses Rose.
Yeah. Chewie in 1. Yeah, Profundity goes off a reserve deck. Missing Vader was big.
Clings to life with Obi because he doesn't want to give up that saber to Grievous.
Dark might have a huge win here. Yeah, no redraw at all is.
Yeah, I'm very surprised with the lack of redraw.
I think either one would not have been wrong to. Like, he would have missed Leia if he had redrawn because he would have drawn 3-2. The Chirinu would have missed. Like, he. Yep. I think he should have redrawn the swing, but given that he didn't, I think he should have redrawn the 4.
Right.
Oh. This is not a good spot because if that Kenobi dies, Grievous stealing the saber, Vader blanks a lot of your good characters. If he still had Poe and Blue 11, you'd be feeling better.
I don't know. Yeah, now it's starting to kind of be a crunch. I mean, you could still come down with Rey and Finn and Destiny Adder.
Well, how many did he
the site? But
how many did he draw last turn?
How many? What?
Eric, hang on. After the Obi was buried, he drew 2 cards. So for him to come down with EPP Rey and Finn and that sort of stuff,
he'd also have to be playing 2 Finns because he just drew Finn.
Right, or he'd have to Brave Resistance, have an extra character.
Right, ABR. Yeah.
Solomon in the chat says, why did he swing at Leia? And Desai says it paid off, and kind of makes sense if he says these things need to happen to win. Yeah, but I think killing Chewie is just as good. I think Leia would have died anyway because of that overflow. You couldn't have just lost Rose and peeled 7. And you get the guaranteed hit, and you don't risk losing one with Kylo. You get the guaranteed ping with Kylo too. I think I don't see why you would swing for Leia, even if.
It's have to be a big turn here from Eric to turn this around.
Yeah. Paul's just been able to stay ahead on hand size, which is just a huge resource. Sabola drawing one every turn, and then Eric Eric getting out activated by 3, so Paul gets essentially 3 extra cards to draw.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder what his force power pull was. I'm wondering if it was like the lightsaber. If he thought, hey, I'm going to just keep stacking this site and make it so he doesn't want to come here. And Paul just came there a turn earlier than he was expecting. Yeah, Joker King says wasn't a fan of targeting Vader from Eric. I think he just wanted to be able to turn Chewie back on, but he should have looked at the power totals and realized, like, I'm going to be losing multiple characters just due to that. I can't afford to peel like
to be
7.
fair, the other 2 things he can swing at are Destiny value 5.
5 instead of 6, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a Legend player.
Right, but I think I'm swinging at Grievous because at some point,
right, if you feel like you have to lose
Obi
Obi.
dies. Yeah.
That makes sense. I might just take out Kylo, because then
that swing is hurting you. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you can have a battle where you don't lose 2 guys.
It's annoying if you hit Kylo though and you draw less than their immunity. I guess Blizzard 4 was still out there with no immunity, but.
Yeah, Justin brings up a good point that both players have seen there was a reserve. I believe there was a verification last turn. There definitely was. Both players saw the reserve because remember he picked up the no escape, and he did a chance cube. So both players knew that the destinies were probably pretty high, which might be why he didn't do the redraw. But I don't know. I mean, the second 3 was definitely hitting Leia, so why not? If you knew there's at least the Chirinu in there, so why not do the redraw? And if it's a 5, I guess he wants to save it for the bad listing. I don't know. I guess if you knew every card left in his reserve was a 5, except for the cards that he drew, do you do
and
a
Chirinu? Which one?
There's a Chirinu, there's a Death Squadron assignment, and then there's our hypothetical example here of every other card being a 5. Would you do a redraw?
I think you probably redraw the swing.
All right, so we see Eric, Brave Resistance Sound solo to pick up Finn.
Finn doesn't matter so much as if he's blanked, whereas solo blanked is he does nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, Taco. Swinging at Leia is bad because of the potential for the female interrupt, and not redrawing is bad because you don't want her hit.
Sorry. I'm being a great commentator by texting at the same time.
Yeah, no, the chat agrees with us. It was kind of a weird series of events from both players choosing who they swung at and that sort of stuff.
Well, I agree with Taco. The biggest reason is that Legend always has at least, not always, I guess, doesn't always have blue. You got to make space for blue 11 and Utani, but Legend almost always has the female interrupt, in which case swinging at ladies is always going to be probably less than ideal. Which I guess you can take out of context as a very true statement about life. Solo for Finn.
No, there's leaderships because the leadership was used to pull Obi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Last battle. He knew there was no leadership in hand. I don't know how he knows that. He used one to pull Obi the turn before. He could have had a second in hand. Oh, he knows now there's no leadership. Yeah, because he would have kept or added his own. Yeah, that is true. Eric is not in a good position.
Let's see, Rose going to the junkyard.
Yeah.
Which obviously means
He
he's
says
going
the
to try
junkyard stack and no
Lando.
Destiny. How is he going to get past Watto? Is he going to pay 8 and battle
Why did
here?
he give up solo?
Yeah, Solo gets one in final abilities, but maybe he pays 8 to put Watto back and then battles and clears out some stuff and moves over Obi. So he's going to walkling. Oh.
Layout? I get it.
Justin says Lando's gun. I doubt there's a Lando's gun.
Ooh.
I don't know what Lando's gun does.
There is a Lando's gun. Oh, you mean like it doesn't exist?
In the deck,
yeah. Probably not in the deck.
Let's see. Lando's blaster rifle. Target is power -2. And
is it a hit at least?
Hit if Destiny +1 greater than defense value, but not forfeit 0 or anything.
When we were playtesting for Shadow Collective, I was looking through all the non-unique blasters, and there's something called a Moss Espa blaster that was like pretty good. It was like free to play, I think, or maybe one on Tatooine, and like it made power and forfeit -2, and it was Destiny 5. Like, oh, this is pretty sweet, but it didn't hit. I didn't realize that until like I started building the deck. I was like, oh, that's... so we must accelerate our plans. We must accelerate our plans. Death Squadron assignment 2.
Get a big blue ship. Oh yeah, it does pull Vengeance.
No, I noticed.
Oh, okay.
Tyrant was the one I wasn't sure about.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Vengeance.
It's the 3. Yeah.
Vengeance.
Stalker, Vengeance, Tyrant, Executor.
Yeah, Vengeance is the go-to ship in like ISB, partially because it gets pulled.
So
yeah, I don't know what.
I mean, if you're Paul, you're 100% battling here because you're looking at power 13 and no Destiny versus he gets a swing. He's got to basically eat a swing, and he versus 14 and 2 Destiny. Maybe there's a leadership he's drawn into, but plus whatever you add. Like if you've got a Maul in hand now, if you've got an EPP Mara, like whatever you add onto that.
Smoke screen doesn't get around Watto, does it?
It does not, because you just don't draw. You may not draw Battle Destiny. You have to be able to draw to substitute.
It's not reset to 0.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Maul right here hitting Lando and Rose would probably force out the Hujix and just leave.
But he got back Finn, right? Or he got Finn with solo, right? So his idea, I guess, is probably to react in Finn for 3 force and then pull mess combo, which doesn't do anything because Nagak War Beast is in play. So
Correct.
thought I'd talk that one out to realize that wasn't going to work.
The react would kill Ozzel.
That is
which would stop Tarkin's extra Destiny.
Okay, all right.
I mean, and he did save 3 to react Finn, but if you're Paul, you know that, and you can just put down whatever card. Eric's not gonna.
I mean, if you're Paul, are you sure you know that Ozzel dies to react? That's not something that you.
No, but you figure Finn's coming down for 3.
Yeah, of course.
Because he knows him in hand, so. There goes a rescue and a.
It doesn't kill Ozzel? I thought related location. What is Ozzel saying?
It would kill Ozzel.
No. Yeah. It kills Ozzel. Lost if Vader on table and opponent.
War Beast would stop it. It would just make Ozzel forfeit 0, and then Tarkin would still get to add the Destiny. Yeah. War Beast, if they're about to be lost in battle before the damage segment.
War Beast shouldn't apply to your own card. That's dumb.
Yeah, I've seen there was some other weird War Beast interaction I saw once that. Oh, maybe it was like FN or something. No, I don't know what it was. Someone was supposed to make themselves lost, and Warbeast was like, nah.
Let's see, Eric Luzowski in the clouds, and I'm getting pretty good at this from hand.
Yeah, this is looking like a win
Varsity
by
from hand.
25 for Paul.
Like he basically can just
Like
stop.
he has 20 right now. Paul has 25 in life force, but 12 in hand, and I don't know that Eric can make him lose 12 more cards. So I think Paul might just
and he's
win this
also
by.
in the kind of rare but great position for Watto, where he doesn't need to move away from the junkyard.
And he doesn't need to go to space. Like he doesn't need to. He just keeps piling these
he
sites.
doesn't need to keep playing guys get the pings in. He's just totally. And there's Maul.
It's not
not double swing Maul, but certainly good enough Maul.
Good enough, yeah. It's gonna take away Lando's 7 forfeit. And
does Slug work with Jar Jar? Doesn't Jar Jar go to play? Not
Dr.
Maul?
E comes down.
Sure, why not? It's a party.
So take out Lando. Yeah, Slug works with Jar Jar. Anytime they're going to be lost. Oh, that's just adding insult to injury.
Especially when he has two guys who are Destiny 5 out. I mean, not that he's not going to lose every character in this battle, because he is, but like...
Yeah, Justin says he has Hujix, but then the Saber's going to, get stolen by Grievous.
Yeah, I mean, the Saber doesn't have a drain or whatever, but yeah, who cares if he has Hujix? He's going to get drained for 2 now at the junk. I guess Maul's probably going to get hit by OB. He's going to have to Hujix and then figure out which site he can attack. But like, there's not really a site he can attack.
So I think you hit Watto with Obi, Hujix, and then come down with more guys. But he still then would have Maul, Doctor E, Tarkin, Ozzel, Sebulba.
Right, and also coming down with more guys is really tough when you have 18 force left. Like, you don't have enough force to pay for guys and then draw destinies.
Does he just go over to Maz's castle in the system?
Yeah, maybe.
But if he does...
Well, he's not winning.
There's still tons of vengeance is coming out. Like, there's still tons of dark space that's going to happen.
Yeah, but it might just be what he has to do in order to...
So here's a battle with no redraw from Legend possible. So there's the errata coming into effect.
I don't think the errata would make much of a difference here.
So Maul swung at Lando.
Yeah.
Looks like he would have hit Obi.
Yeah,
but he decides to take the free swing and operate.
Yes, so we do know Solo is in his deck, though he'll activate past Solo. But he could solo to Maz's castle, try to go to space, but he's already lost Poe.
So Obi does go for Maul. That means Watto's still going to be sitting there. Just to take away, I'm guessing take away the drain +1 when he abandons Tatooine.
Yep.
So Obi and Rose forfeit for 11. Their power 7. That covers 18. Right now he's down by 6 and a Destiny. And if he Tarkins, he'll be down by... There it is. He'll be down by 6 and 2 Destiny after their forfeit. So he definitely has to lose both and Hujix. Which means Grievous is getting the Saber. What? Oh, he's leadershiping to take an admiral or general into hand. That Leia he walk-linked for.
Mm-hmm. Watto's Chance Cube.
Chance Cube.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Even, so he's going to add 2 Battle Destiny. So now it's
just
4.
in case Eric has lost track of the Hujix in his hand. Well, importantly, puts a card into his use pile, right? So if he really gets to stop here and doesn't lose any more force, it gets him up higher.
He only had 4 Destinies in his reserve deck. Then he drew one of them for the Chance Cube. Or 3. So then he was down to 2 anyway. It's like you should have just drawn your 2.
Yeah, I mean,
especially because he could have drawn that 5 and got none.
I think he just wanted to play the
used interrupt. Sure.
Force. Yeah, get the.
All right, 17 overflow.
The Hujix.
The Hujix that he did that Unita for. And yeah, I think if you're Paul, you go ahead and draw a couple. Because you decide, so Grievous does steal the Saber. Because you decide a win by 23 instead of 26 is good enough to just lock down that big win with a few more ships or guys or whatever for
Yeah,
space.
there it is, 7 cards in hand. I mean,
Yeah.
mm,
Search and Destroy is going to hit Eric right now.
yeah. And it's gonna force Eric to go to the Maz's castle, which is why we know he grabbed Leia.
Eric is at 26 hand in life, about to be 25 with the Search and Destroy. Paul is
Do you think it's possible? Oh, sorry,
Paul is at 33. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if one of the reasons why Paul wanted to play Watto, especially perhaps this Watto list, is because he knows that Eric is a big EBO player. And might have thought Watto gave him a good matchup.
Yeah, Watto and Search and Destroy can do a lot of EBO damage early. Hey, welcome to the stream. We are watching Legend get taken apart by Watto. Just got a very big stack and made it hard to contest. All right, so it's going to be a drain of 2 and a ping of 1, and most everything is committed over here. So, I mean, if there's a Lana combo or something, but that'll shut off Search and Destroy. It'll start you doing 3 damage. It's something. It almost seems like maybe he should have abandoned earlier, like not committed to Lando and
I
Rose.
Can't figure out what that Lando...
The Lando Rose. When you're going to have to Hujix anyway, he should have just saved the Lando and Rose and just moved Obi over. Just, I mean,
I'm kind of struggling to see what the purpose of that was. I mean, you already got the Hujix, like you said. So move Obi over, hit one guy.
Yeah.
And then if you get Rose to the antechamber, then maybe Lando could be helpful whenever you go to space. If you go to space.
He did force pile pull quite a while ago, like I think the turn Obi came down.
Do we know if there's a ship in Eric's Legend list?
Yeah, so we saw Profundity top decked.
We did see Profundity.
Well, and we saw him lose Jakku from hand. You don't play the system if you have
okay.
If you're spaceless. So
there's no all wings combo. We haven't seen a fly casual.
No, we saw him top deck an all wings combo. So there's a Falcon in there.
All right. So the answer is yes. We knew, and I wasn't paying attention. Thanks, Justin. Yeah.
But I mean, here, he just pays to drain.
Pays to drain.
Probably plays Vengeance and deploys a couple guys on it and says go.
Yeah.
I'll just eat your 3 damage from hand for a few turns.
Yeah.
And he probably has multiple ships in hand by now. So Ahsoka from hand, like Eric's sort of running on fumes. He's only got 11 in life force and he just thinks. Yeah.
I mean, you could almost just Vengeance itself could almost be safe.
Yeah.
If there's not even
11
forces, not enough to play guys.
Jakku's so fast. It's probably all the space slots that we saw. There's no Holdo or Tantive or Fly Casual or anything like that. All right, there's the free Executor effect. I think we're going to see a Star Destroyer bluffed here. Like Vengeance.
Paul just really wanted to flex and play his free Executor.
Yeah. I mean, I think you... Okay, so here comes the free Emperor, which you throw on the Executor for forfeit as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. And now he's established with not having to pay for drains anymore. So he's doing 3 a turn.
Legend capping that Executor immunity could come into play. So there's a Thrawn. So now he's got enough forfeit.
Legend to battle that.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 destinies, command limiting. I mean, Poe's already lost 2.
Right. You don't. In this, what we've seen from Eric's deck, he does not have 2 Poes because he just doesn't have enough space to justify that.
Right.
So accelerate to pull an accelerate, which is not in there, so he just gets a cycle. And Paul reloads his hand. So, if you're Eric, you go to the system, to Mustafar, and then if he had a capital, he could shuttle down to the castle. Of course,
Yeah.
Vader could always move over on top of whoever was there.
He's
It's going
paying
to
for
be
drain
hard
here.
for Eric to continue to pay after just a few turns, because he's got to pay 3 to drain and pay 2 for Watto every turn.
I mean,
Once he
he
gets
keep
below
it.
5.
I mean, Watto's not going to retrieve. I mean, he's pitching things from hand, but
Yeah, so it's looking like a win by 16-ish.
yeah, not complete, not unlosable at all.
Unless there's a Lana combo, yeah. But if Eric does play more cards like Falcon and Pilots and stuff. But keep in mind, if he does, Vengeance can just come down on top of it, too.
Yep. He does have to pick a spot. So what do you think we're going to see in game 2? I'm sorry, we solo just go to the antechamber. So this is a fairly clear signal. He's cashed on space.
Well, and also a clear signal. He doesn't want another Maul or Mara or whatever coming and just clearing some stuff. So he wants to have enough there to be like, hey, I just want to get my drain of 2, my ping of 1 in over and over to whittle you down.
Right.
Next game, well, Paul's standard is Hitco, but he probably prepared a different plan, just like he did not play entanglements here. But then the question is, if he wins by enough here, might he just go back to his standard Hitco, saying like, hey, I'm not going to lose by 18 with Hitco, so I'm just going to run that, not my alternate plan?
Could be. I would maybe just Legend. I think it's really hard for Legend to lose by 18.
Yeah. Well, we might see.
Sure, as I say, Legend's about to lose by 18, but in general,
16,
it's a deck that hangs in there. Hitco, I would be a little worried, like if Eric puts you on that and then comes in with a hunt down that's just 60 cards ready to battle on the ground, and you keep facing down lots of damage.
That could happen to Legend too, though. But then you get the Jakku drain at least.
You get the Jakku drain. You can probably bunker at a different site. So we just see, obviously, Eric peeling cards from hand.
Another Accelerate comes down. That Force at Maz's Castle is not scary at all. It's power 13 in a Destiny. So if you do have an EPP Mara, like she alone covers 12 in a Destiny, right?
Yep. You knock out that BB-8.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got any characters at all, there's a Force push.
I think the Force push. No, he doesn't have Force. He doesn't have cards in reserve.
Very few cards in hand after this, but
yeah, I'm surprised he would Force push here.
Solomon says Hitco is super easy to tech against, but Legend isn't. Yeah, I agree. I think we're gonna see Legend, but it being his mainstay, and the fact that he won big, he might go to it. Justin asked if there's a Force push for Lana, because then you could. What do you move over Kylo, and then you Lana over, or maybe you move over Dr. E. And Tarkin, and you Lana, Kylo, Grievous, and Dr. E there. And
yeah, I mean at this point, Eric only is 10 cards in Life Force total. He's really got nothing left to be able to do things.
All right, so Eric pays 2, and a free Stalker comes out, and Eric's
go to Mustafar, I would assume.
Yeah, he'll shuttle, ship dock, and then move over.
Got all the Force in the world.
Moving Vader over with Lana to cancel BB-8 is good too. If you can block the drain and stop BB-8, so you're not taking no damage. The Lana Odin combo cards are really good. Like
Yeah, they're
not just
really
that
good.
they're really strong, but they're really, I feel like fair cards.
They do a lot.
But I think protecting a forfeit, I think is okay. Like I think maybe they should not protect
they
against
should have
normal
canceled
weapons, only
reacts.
EVPs or
I
something.
don't like
They
them.
shouldn't.
I don't
Okay,
like them canceling
fair.
reacts.
Take away the cancel reacts. I like
Yeah.
the movement text. The canceling reacts is probably
I
excessive.
definitely I like fixed neighboring. I actually don't mind the non-forfeit zero stuff, especially because it incentivizes playing things like, Dark Jedi lightsaber that hits attrition instead. I think that's fine and good.
All right,
But
chat's disagreeing with me. Bloated is a better descriptor than fair. Yeah. If
I just don't like canceling reacts because of almost all react like a lot of reacts are fair and like reacts are put on cards that are without reactability pretty bad, I
yeah.
think. So
Yeah, I like the removing react idea. Another possibility is making it a lost interrupt. Um,
Vader going to castle, I guess Paul's long-term plan to contest that is going to
yeah, next
obviously
turn he'll
involve
move Vader
Vader.
over. If he has one more character, he drops it down, move Vader over, then he's blocked the drain and the BB-8 ping. But
Yep.
Chiranu came out, and
Yep.
Emperor
Yep.
shuttled over. So now Paul is going to do 2-2-1-1. Um, so
So
6
he
damage.
mhm,
Eric can only stand another turn or two of that.
yeah.
Paul is at
But
8.
no need for Eric to draw up because Watto's not going to have any retrieval. So
All right, here comes downward tick and broken concentration. And Erica V.
yeah, that'd be a real bold decision in game one.
He's only got 9 in Lost Pile anyway. Yeah, there's a female interrupt. Was in there. Played it from Lost Pile with Solo. There's no
So
resistance out, so
yeah.
gets a
So
drain.
you can basically squeak in another damage. So you can be up to next turn. He'll be digging into Paul's current 18. So if here he's gonna do 4 total, Paul drops 2 more from his 2. Next turn he does this. So it should be a win by 17.
I don't know how Eric does any more damage if next turn if Paul just has a character in hand and he doesn't need to bluff Watto anymore. He just drops a character and moves Vader over after does 6 damage, drops a character, moves Vader over, blanks BB-8. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how Eric does another point of damage without being
Yep.
able
Yep.
to
Yep.
drain or ping.
Yeah. After losing six more force, it's either cards from hand that do things or cards from life force, which case he doesn't have anything
Yeah,
else
I
to
do
do.
think Dark Side. I was gonna say that and then lost that train when people were the
Yeah.
Lana combo should protect against Sorry About the Mess. It's super annoying when you use that and then they just Sorry About the Mess anyway.
Yep, I agree. I also think that this is general design of interrupts. I would just be stapling cancel, sorry about the mess, clash of sabers, and barrier on all sorts of interrupts.
Hmm.
I think all these cards are.
But if you get
And
rid of
kind of,
those, like we're just gonna have more and more scrub decks, which
I know,
I
I
think
know.
there's already some of those, and it's kind of the Obi Luke. Those are kind of iconic. I think having
Barrier. Barrier is
mazes.
the one I want to be canceled the most of the 3
What
things I
is?
just listed. Barrier, Imperial, and Rubber Barrel on both sides, especially.
Yeah, I do think the after seeing the effect of lack of firepower and weapons display in the last like 2 weeks, I do think they should have been just mirrored and the damage reduced to 1.
See that?
But maybe they'll do that in a future set. Maybe they'll just be like, hey, we're adding back these shields mirrored, reduced to 1. We blanked them for a while and now we're bringing them back. I don't think they'll be good as effects. No one will play them. But you get rid of the retrieval aspect of it, and you just mirror and have them ping 1 and make them a shield. And
Laughing at Jared saying I hate Decipher cards. I kind of do hate Decipher cards. Decipher made this amazing game with just like incredible mechanics, and they just kept making garbage cards. Like they just couldn't figure out how to make good fair games. But
Barrier's been around since Premiere.
I know.
You can't just ban Throne Room. Joker King says it feels like ISB has 27 cancelers. For what? I feel like it doesn't really play any cancelers because it plays 32 characters.
We're seeing the drain out here.
Oh,
Paul did
Imperial
activate everything.
Barrier. not ISB. It did say IB.
Are you saying barrier? No, the problem with barrier is it doesn't have enough cancels. I feel like all the cancels for barrier basically just cancel barrier and do nothing
Inconsequential, pretty much just cancels barrier. Bith
right?
combo,
Basically just
shuffles.
cancels
I use
barrier.
5. Skywalkers is useful, and Paul Myers does
Sure,
play that
sure.
in his Hitco. So
Yep,
Skywalkers,
yep.
but only in a very specific where you have Luke and
Right.
probably multiple
All I'm
Leias
saying
and stuff.
is I would
Otherwise,
like their barrier canceling to be stapled onto a otherwise useful interrupt.
like
and not have to
if
devote
rescue
slot.
didn't cancel close call, but it canceled barrier instead.
I mean, rescue's a problematic card in my mind, so that might be a little too much. But a good example is Vader's Anger. Vader's Anger used to cancel barrier, and when they updated it to give it, quote, tweaked it up for better text, they took off the barrier canceling. And I would have left the barrier canceling on that card. I think that's totally fair. Especially if it was still just barrier cancel at Vader's site or whatever. Like, that's an example to me. Like, I would put more barrier canceling on things.
Joker King says just play mercenary armor.
That's a card. And then on Darkseid, your only barrier canceler is a Destiny 4 because Darkseid's not allowed to have Destiny 5 cards. And then Blaster Controls, which is Destiny 5, and obviously works against all barrier, but then is, the fact you have to play as opposed to use interrupt. Paul Myers, what did he do with Grievous? Puts Grievous into hand, which puts the lightsaber into his hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's another life force, I guess. Obviously, Grievous is just going to come back down to the antechamber.
Right. He pays 2 here. Grievous comes down to the antechamber, and Vader moves over, and he gets no more damage. So you have to choose to lose 2. And hope he doesn't have another character. Because, and it's 2 cards in hand. One is a saber, and one, if it's another character, you're bummed. But
yep.
But either way, you're moving Vader over.
Yeah,
Stop 3 damage.
2 cards and Grievous is a card on Watto, of course. Yep.
Nope, it wasn't Grievous.
Huh?
All right. So
mercenary armor. That's a good point.
So it looks like it will be 18 for Paul unless that one in hand. I don't see how Eric can do any more damage.
Not impossible.
I mean, if he has someone in... Well, he only has 6 life force. Right now, he's got 8 total hand in life.
No, I meant not impossible. He can win game 2 by more than 18.
Yeah.
It is impossible for him to win this game.
Well, to win, but I was saying even another point of damage.
No, it's 18. Yeah, I think for Dark, one option is, we're joking, but you could go with Erica, Broken Concentration combo, and whatever Dark deck you end up wanting to run.
True.
Court is, I always think Court is pretty solid against Hitco.
Really? That was the one matchup I couldn't solve.
Nah, I think it's fine.
I was fine against Throne Room, but
Throne Room was a little bit more difficult. But
I disagree. At least my build, I'm fine with Throne Room. I don't like
Court or Hitco.
With Court, playing Court. I would rather see Throne Room than Hitco.
Me playing Court, generally, I actually think neither was that difficult in the end. In the end of whatever current meta we're in. I thought Hitco was a little bit easier. I think that extra turn, extra icon they gave you was a lot better. It gave you a chance to set up and actually defend the audience chamber. Against Throne Room, I'm always just abandoning the audience chamber and Gonna Gleamwarding from the... Basically, it's Throne Room, I would just almost always do nothing for a couple of turns, draw cards, let the court ping me, get up to 15 life force, wait for them to go drop to the audience chamber, then on my turn, drop Scum so I can then load up the pit with the Gonna Gleamward, and then cancel their thing, and they're kind of in a stuck situation where we're moving back and forth between the two sides.
So chat's talking, and they, both JNAP and Joker King think Court is way worse versus Throne Room. Desai points out my Court plays 3 disarms, and that's if Luke loses his saber in Throne Room and they lose Anakin's saber, once they're out of sabers, it's just not that scary. No. Versus what Joker King is saying is none shall pass as the GOAT versus Hitco, but you have to draw that turn 1 or 2 into hand, whereas the disarms can come into play later. And if Throne Room's a worse matchup...
You can't disarm from Luke anyways.
You can't,
Justin keeps making this team 17 trillion.
That's why it's the worst matchup.
Justin, our team is not the team that does all the data. That's the team Billy Bean or whatever they're called. Just kidding. Another
whoever Echo Base Trooper is on does all the data. Right?
We don't have shit for data.
I don't know. I think New Allies is Taco does stuff because he'll be like, oh well, I took out my team's data from this data set and so that we could see the results. So Eric's just drawn up. He can't do any more damage. Paul by 18. Yeah. So no, they definitely have done. You guys have done some data stuff.
What we do, for the record, I don't think it's a big deal. We are supposed to post our we have a thread where like post your OCS record and your decks here, so that then when we get Echo Base Trooper data, who's the actual person who keeps the data, we can then be like, well, the field did this, but our team did this. I think like maybe 3 of us actually ever posted our data. We weren't really that good at that.
Yeah, just said no one ever
posts their stuff. Post it. Like, I mean, do you realize there's not a chance in hell Brian Fred knows how to go back to his OCS game history league? Like, it's just not possible.
All right, so they're taking a 5-minute break. Here's what's happening for game 2. Yep. Drew, you're tapping out?
Tapping out. Yep. We'll let Dan get on to commentate game 2.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. This was a lot of fun. Really had a good time.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for commentating with me.
Yeah.
Dan is going to host over on the PC channel, so swap over to that if you are watching this. Desai says that you're going off to data mine with Bill. Okay, so I'm going to shut down this stream, swap over to the main twitch.tv/SWCCGPC for game 2 in just a couple of minutes.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy game 2. Thanks, Jeff.